Gearing up for the playoffs.
Gearing up for the playoffs.
Right.
Now, we're not gearing up for the Chiefs game that weekend because they got the bye.
Right.
So they don't have to worry about it.
Gear up for the playoffs. Though.
Gear up for the playoffs because it'll be a busy time, and we hope it will be a long run. I'm going to tell you something. There's some really, really good football teams this year. You look around both conferences, you're like, you know what? Like if I ask you, Jake, do the Vikings look like they could go to the Super Bowl?
Absolutely.
Do the Lions look like they could go to the Super Bowl?
They're fighting for the 1 seed. I think the NFC is way more exciting and way more interesting than the AFC.
I mean, do the Packers, even though they can't beat those teams, look like they could beat the Lions or the Vikings at any time? They look like they go to the Super Bowl.
I think I will be shocked if it's anything less than the Bills playing in Arrowhead for the AFC Championship.
I agree.
Anything less than that, I will be almost shocked. Maybe the Ravens sneaking in there.
Hey, if the Ravens ever put it all together at the right time, they're unbeatable.
Sure,
but they don't.
But I don't see the Chargers making any noise.
I think there's 3 teams in the AFC.
Yeah, Texans. We saw what the Texans were. I mean, they have plenty of problems. They
Christmas and the Saturday and the Christmas was like separation time.
Yeah. The Steelers aren't for real.
They're not for real.
The Texans aren't for real. The Chargers are a great story. Harbaugh making noise his first year back in the NFL, getting the team to the playoffs. I think it's great. I think Herbert is a stud, but that's not a team that I see making any noise in the playoffs. I don't think. I mean. The 7th seed still up for grabs. You have the Dolphins fighting for it. You have the Broncos holding on to dear life.
The Bengals aren't dead.
And I want to put a bullet in that dead dog, and it won't die. And it won't die.
So they set the drama up. They'll play on Saturday. The Bengals will play on Saturday because them winning is paramount to anything. If they lose, they're out. So if they win on Saturday, that forces the Dolphins to win.
Right.
Because they need to win. And then also the Broncos. If the Broncos win, they're all dead.
Yeah.
So Saturday night.
The Colts eliminated themselves yesterday with the
so bad. But if the Bengals win on Saturday, then they're going to play the Dolphins game and the Chiefs and Broncos at the same time. So they won't know what's going on.
Right.
They'll all need to win. So they set it up real nice. But my point is, I think the Bills look like a team that could go to the Super Bowl. I think the Chiefs obviously do, and I think the Ravens do. And I think in the NFC, there are 3 teams in the stinking North.
Right.
None of them I wouldn't fall over dead if they go. Philadelphia, by the way, is on the 3rd-string quarterback yesterday and still looked great.
Yeah. Barkley went over 2,000 yards. They just leaned on him.
And then I also think, listen, I wouldn't count the Commanders out of anything because Jaden Daniels looks special.
That guy he's built different.
So my point is this playoff this year, there's going to be a bunch of really good teams whose season just ends in a thud. And it's like, wow, I can't believe they didn't make – because we just mentioned all those teams. Only 2 of them can even be in the NFC Championship game.
Right.
So there's going to be some really disappointed teams and fan bases who's like, how did we not make at least the NFC title game? Well, you probably lost to a really good team.
Yes.
So the Chiefs, I think the Chiefs are great, and they're built to win, and they know how to do that. But if they don't make the Super Bowl, I know everyone's going to be disappointed, but unless they lost to the Chargers or Broncos or somebody like that, I don't think you could be crazy, crazy disappointed if they lost some thrilling game to Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. I mean, you're talking about some of the best. So it's going to be
realistically, that's going to happen eventually.
Yeah.
One of those 2 quarterbacks eventually will beat Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Eventually. I mean, that just...
We already know that Joe Burrow did it once in the playoffs. Right. Which is why you don't want them in the playoffs.
Those 2 guys are too good not to go their whole career without it. Look, it'll happen. Maybe one of those guys don't make it, but for both of them, statistically speaking, would be an anomaly.
Yes,
an anomaly.
So as we get ready for the playoffs, just remember this: I'm not saying it's okay for the Chiefs to lose or they're going to lose. There's going to be like 4 or 5 because I think this is as spread out. This is not what the NFL likes. I mean, you look at the fight for the number 1 draft pick. I saw some stat there. It could end up being like the fewest number of wins between the top 10 or the worst 10 teams ever in the history of the league.
Wow.
See how these things shake out. Now, the Giants won a game yesterday, kind of messed some things up.
And right now, the Patriots are sitting in that
Patriots
spot.
are sitting there for this instant. So
for the overall number 1 seed.
We don't have a 1-win team, but boy, there's a lot of teams sitting there with 4 wins.
And 3.
3. There are 4 teams with 3 wins, and two teams with 6 wins. It's just, I mean, there's some bad stuff down there. There's a lot of teams eliminated. I mean, the Chiefs locked up the 1 seed on Christmas. That's early for that. We're not going to know the 1 seed in the NFC until 10:30 Sunday night because they put that Vikings and Lions game at, it's a playoff game.
Yeah, it's great.
It's a bye week.
Yep.
So it's going to be great.
And so that leans to like the game tonight is absolutely meaningless. It's almost as meaningless as a preseason game.
But still, listen to it right here on Sports Radio 10. It's Monday Night Football, but It is meaningless because with the Vikings win, the Lions don't need to play anybody, and they're so hurt right now. We were talking before the show; they shouldn't play some people, but Dan Campbell wants to eat your kneecaps. Right. So now I honestly think with as beat up as the Niners have been this year, they could probably beat them without. I think it's kind of silly that the Chiefs are a 9-point underdog. You think the Chiefs and Carson Wentz are 9 points worse than the Broncos? That seems like a lot to me.
It is a lot. I mean, I saw it open.
Carson Wentz is very
good. I thought
it
opened up at 8, so it moved a point already.
I saw it at 9, but
yeah,
it seems more like it should be 4 or 5.
I was shocked that it was 8.
Yeah,
I saw that. I was like, But
I don't want to bet on it because it is like a preseason game for the Chiefs.
I kind of do.
We're going to hear from Andy Reid later today. He has not spoken with our local media since after the game on Christmas. I did see him pop up on Fox NFL Sunday yesterday with just a message from Michael Vick, who's on that show, the pre show, and he's the new head coach at Norfolk State. But Andy has not been out doing a lot of media and things. We'll get his comments today. They should have a Zoom today where he kind of tells us what's happening. We know this. Patrick Mahomes is not playing in this game. Chris Jones is not playing in this game.
Travis Kelce will not be playing
in this game. Probably, you know what? Joe Tooney shouldn't play in this game. If DJ Humphries can play, they should do something else. There should be a few of these guys. Go back and look whoever they played last year against the Chargers who were on this team. It's probably going to be a lot like that.
Minus Chris Jones.
Minus Chris Jones. Because I don't care how many sacks you need, Chris. You got a hurt calf, and you ain't playing.
Yeah. We're not going for the bonus this year.
No bonus. You got your signing bonus.
Yes.
Now it's playoff time stuff.
Which is great. He's going to get 2 weeks off now.
Yeah.
I mean, it
could. And he didn't play on Christmas.
Right.
So
he didn't play on Christmas, so he gets 2 weeks. It's going to be. I mean,
they should be fresh.
They should be fresh, and the conversation is like, oh, do you worry about the rust? And with this team, you do not. For me,
I don't.
For me, I don't either. It's because they know how they've been here and done that, and so if anything, extra rest is going to be great for this team.
Yep. But we do have a fun weekend coming up. We'll talk about what happened yesterday to set this thing up, or on Saturday. I thought Saturday we were all texting during this Bengals-Broncos game.
Wow.
No coach wanted to win. It's like, just kneel on the ball, set it up for your field goal. Now, the guy missed the field goal later, but it was a shorter field goal. You could put it right where he wanted, and then you're not going to lose the game. You're tied. But when Joe Burrow, it looked like Brown tried to slide to not score. And
yes,
then they
when he
went
got
ahead
injured.
And they got hurt, and then went ahead and scored. And you're like, all right, well, we'll find out what Bo Nix is about. Well, you know what we found out? Bo Nix was pretty good.
Yeah.
Drove him down the field, and they scored a touchdown. And then they didn't go for 2.
Trent Green was trying to say that. Like, what are they doing? They left too much time here because I think if they would have kneeled it down or just moved
20 seconds maybe.
He said between 20 and 30, depending on when they start the clock. So it's like, I'm sitting there saying the same thing as like, you idiots. Like, that's dumb. That is a bad move. And
crazy.
I get it. You want to get the touchdown. You want to, but still, it didn't make any sense to me to give them the ball back they still had a timeout left because the Bengals had that on that play that you're talking about.
Injured.
Yep. They didn't have to use their last timeout on that play because it was under 2 minutes. The Bengals had a guy go down. And so the charge timeout was to the Bengals. So it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, and then after the Broncos scored, everyone's like, I mean, Bo Nix thought they're going for 2.
Right.
And then they didn't, and it's like, But they did get the ball in overtime. You know, they had their chance.
Oh, yeah.
They had their chance. It was a fun game, but it should have been over a half hour before.
I was hoping for a tie, man.
The tie would have been great. The Broncos make it. It would have been – it was like, oh, my gosh. But so the Broncos now, need to. Well, they don't need to
In the
win. If
NFL
everybody else loses, they're fine.
Right.
But
they control their own destiny.
they'll feel different if if the Steelers beat the Bengals Saturday night, they'll rest a little bit easier.
Yep.
But the
still
Dolphins are playing the Jets.
Right.
And the Jets look as dead man walking as any team you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah. They've quit.
In my life.
That team is dead.
Holy smokes.
Right.
Yesterday. I mean, it was so bad they just took Aaron Rodgers out, said someone else is going to get some garbage time yards.
Right. He's sitting at 499 touchdowns, and they're hoping, get him to 500. That's a big milestone for a quarterback. And instead, he became the most sacked quarterback in the history of the NFL.
There are some bad quarterback decisions getting made in the league. It happens every year. We were just talking about, Sam Darnold's been great. Sam Darnold's on a 1-year contract.
And if it wasn't for Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, the season they're having, and Barkley, he would be, he's having a MVP caliber
Absolutely.
season. Like, he would be a dark horse. I mean, he probably will finish 4th or 5th in the voting. I mean, he is having an all-world year.
And he was in New York.
Yes, he was.
Okay.
He was.
And then where was he?
And then he went to Carolina.
How are Carolina and New York doing right now?
Not very well.
Then who else was in Carolina?
Baker.
And Baker right now is a win away.
Yes.
He's going to have 40 touchdowns.
I know.
He's a win away from going to the playoffs again for Tampa.
He was also in Cleveland. So we're talking about Cleveland and the Jets.
Two of the worst teams.
Who don't,
can't do anything right.
Horribly, just continue to mess up that quarterback position.
Can't do it. They try. I mean, they draft guys early.
Oh, yeah.
They Darnold, Zach Wilson.
They go out and they pay a lot of money for him, too. Look
Pay
at
a lot of
Watson
money.
and Rodgers.
And they pay money for guys who are bringing
not just money,
baggage.
draft picks, too.
Draft picks, giveaway draft picks, big money, guaranteed money, lots of money. Aaron Rodgers now has helped the Jets win. I guess he got a win in opening day last year because they did win that game.
I guess, yeah.
And they've won like 3
4
games this year, 4.
Had.
So he's won like 5 games and made, I don't know, $100 million.
Have you watched Enigma yet?
I watched one of them. It's a lot for me. I don't know if I need to watch anymore. But Deshaun Watson is still going to be there next year. I think the Jets can cut ties with Rodgers and just bite it.
Did I see that Watson's restructuring his deal?
Yeah. So that kind of ensures he's still going to be there.
He can't be starter, though.
No. But he's going to make a lot of money. And Dorian Thompson-Robinson is so bad. He has a touchdown and like 9 or 10 interceptions in his career.
The guy's a third-string quarterback. That's what he's playing, but the guy's a third-string quarterback.
But that's the whole point of the thing is, like, the third-string quarterback for Philly came in and threw 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
The third-string quarterback for the New
kid
York
from
Jets.
Stanford, the 6th-round draft pick from Stanford.
Drew Lock was the second string, but he was third string at one point because he didn't get to start when they put McVitie in there. Whatever his name is, DeVito. Just had a day that's happened like 4 times in the history of the league. You can be better than – and by the way, I'll get on the soapbox for a second. I know some people around here have been talking about this. Kevin Stefanski for the Browns has been a 2-time NFL Coach of the Year.
Yes, he has.
And he can't get Dorian Thompson-Robinson to throw 2 touchdowns in his career. He's thrown 1 and thrown 9 interceptions. This guy's the Coach of the Year twice.
Yeah, but I don't know. I can't put that on that guy.
Well, he's the offensive guru. He's the guy.
Yeah.
You think if Andy Reid put a third-string quarterback in, he could find a way to get a score for him?
Andy Reid wouldn't have his team completely quit on him.
No, he wouldn't.
And the Browns have that's the difference.
So my point is this: Andy Reid this year deserves real consideration for Coach of the Year. He hasn't won it since 2002. They're 15-1, and they've lost their best wide receiver, their biggest wide receiver free agent pick. They have no left tackle, and they're 15-1. And I know they were supposed to win 12 games, but at worst they're going to be 3 or 4 games better than their Vegas over/under to start with. That's amazing.
It's probably going to go to Kevin O'Connell, though.
It probably is.
And I don't think he doesn't deserve it.
I don't have a big fight about it.
They drafted a first round,
yeah, same thing.
Or the Commanders.
It's great.
Those two guys. One of those 2 guys will probably win Coach of the Year.
But Andy Reid, man,
I know. But when your expectation is to be in the AFC Championship game every year, if not win the Super Bowl. Like, that's why he doesn't win it. That's why we talk about.
But I do think this maybe is his best ever, with all the stuff that's happened injury-wise, and the fact that they have won 2 Super Bowls in a row, and everybody's out to get him. And their division, by the way, has 2 Super Bowl coaches in it now.
Yeah.
And they won it again. You know,
it might be. Last year's hard to beat. I mean, last year, like going on the road, beating the Bills.
I don't know. They vote before that, though, don't they? They vote in the regular season, don't they?
Probably.
I think they do.
Probably, yep.
But last year's regular season was kind of a stinker.
Oh, it was.
My God, they lost 3 home games.
They limped
this is Andy Reid's first time they've been undefeated at home.
Ever?
Yeah.
In his tenure, huh?
Here.
Well, it's a good time to do it.
But
going for a three-peat.
Anyway, there's a lot of things going on. But I do think what we have set up this weekend is pretty cool. In the AFC, there's not a lot available. There's some seeding things going on at the bottom, especially. Basically, you're looking for that Bengals game.
Well, and the AFC North is still up for grabs, but that will be decided on Saturday.
Yeah, it'll be decided on Saturday.
I mean, up for grabs meaning the Ravens control their own destiny.
Right.
And the Steelers have to win, and the Ravens have to lose for the Steelers to jump into that third seed.
It looks to me like the Ravens are going to win that.
Yes.
Because they're playing the Browns. Yeah, but the Browns beat the
beat
division teams. That's who they beat.
They've beat the Ravens already this year.
Yeah, they don't. They've beaten the Steelers.
Right.
Why not? But the Texans are set where they are. The Bills are set where they are, and then that last spot, the one that Denver holds right now, they beat the Chiefs as an 8 or 9 point favorite against the backup quarterback they're in. But if they lose, and the Dolphins win. They're playing at the same time against the Jets, and the Dolphins are in. But if they both lose on Sunday and the Bengals have won against the Steelers, who might be drawing dead because the game before them is the Ravens game, if the Bengals win that one and the other 2 lose, then they're in. Now, all 3 lose, it's the Broncos. And you want to talk about stumbling into the playoffs. Oof, you would not feel great about that one. On the NFC side, the 1 seed is up for grabs. We know the Vikings are in the playoffs. We know the Lions are in the playoffs. But they'll play each other regardless of what happens tonight with the Lions. If they lose tonight, they'll be 13-3. But if they beat the Vikings, they'll both be 14-3. They will have swept the Vikings. And that game will be Sunday night. And that'll be a great game for everyone to watch, to wrap up, to get ready for the playoffs. And then we know that the Bucs now have a 1-game lead on the Falcons. But the Falcons beat the Bucs twice this year. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers absolutely need to win. They're going to be at home, and they're playing at noon against the Carolina Panthers. So if they win, they're in regardless of what the Falcons do. But if they lose and the Falcons win, then the Falcons will make the playoffs, which would be really nice for the Falcons with, playing Michael Penix here at the end and, fine for them. They've been an improved team, I think. But how about this? Did you see if the Bucs win, 4 straight divisions for the Bucs? That's crazy.
Well,
I mean, they had Tom even at the end, and Baker. They won last year. They won a playoff game last year.
It is probably the worst division in all of football.
It is, and it's probably going to get better, maybe, because it's so bad to start with. But the Saints are an absolute mess, and the Panthers, while they look like a better team, just can't find a way to win games. They probably feel like a team that could have 4 more wins because I think they have played better since right about the time they played the Chiefs down to the wire, but they just don't win the games. They got smoked yesterday, though. They because Baker was on one yesterday. They were good, but some crazy quarterback numbers got put up. I'm sure some fantasy football Super Bowls
championships,
went wild yesterday. If someone was out there picking Drew Lock up or something like that, and a lot of people were mad, like, what do you mean Saquon's out of the game? What do you mean Josh Allen's out of the game? It was some crazy stuff. Very fun, though. So the NFL, has a big gravitational pull, and that's absolutely what happens these weeks. I thought it was
just
fun Saturday and
Sunday. Look at Christmas ratings as they battered in the NBA.
Yeah, sorry, LeBron. You can say what you want.
That's great. That's great. I love seeing that.
And they,
by the way,
they weren't even on regular TV. Netflix has a wide reach, and it's they said something like 65 million people tuned in for a second, but the numbers were like
25 million,
which is a little less than traditional TV was last year. Now, last year the Chiefs were losing to the Raiders, and people will always watch the great teams lose. That's how that works. If you get to watch, there's a lot of Schadenfreude going on. rooting against your enemy.
Well, and that's, we see that, and that's why pay-per-view numbers do massive when Floyd Mayweather Jr. would fight.
Always looking for the enemy.
Yeah,
man.
people tuning in to see his first loss. You tune in to see the champion go down.
But we will have a fun one this weekend with these games because there are 2 on Saturday because they do flex those out, and that'll be the Central or the North of the AFC will be playing. So that'll be fun. Then one of those is a Saturday night game. And then Sunday will be pretty crazy. They got that NFC South will be settled at noon, and the 7th seed in the AFC will be settled at 3:25, and the 1 seed will be settled at by about 10:30 at night. We'll see how that one goes. So that'll be a fun time there. We've got a fun show here today. Pete Sweeney from Arrowhead Pride will be in here, as he always is, Monday mornings at 7 o'clock. We will talk to Catherine Tappan of NBC. She's got a fun assignment. Tomorrow, the Winter Classic is what they call it, when they go play NHL games in football stadiums and baseball stadiums, and they have a fun one. This is Wrigley Field, right? Wrigley Field hosts some football games again now, different college football games, which they used to. I mean, that's where the Bears used to play. Mike Ditka running towards the Ivy back in the day. But so they're having hockey there, so she's going to be doing that, and she's got some thoughts about the NFC or the NCAA quarters. I got to keep calling these quarters. They're not semis.
Nope.
Semis won't be till January.
First round, quarterfinals, semis, finals.
So we'll talk to her about that. Also talk to Chris Gervino. He'll be on the sidelines for the Missouri Tigers bowl game today, which, as I said, you can't hear Chris, but you can hear the national broadcast of that today right here on Sports Radio 810 as they take on Iowa. Black and gold all over Nashville. What's the weather like in Nashville? Hope it's going to be all right. I've looked up at some kind of gross-looking bowl games, man. There's been some rain going down. Were you watching the end of the whatever? I think it was in Memphis, the NC State, East Carolina game where they fought at the end.
No, I missed that. 51 and cloudy.
Cloudy. That's
today.
That's
high times game kickoff. It'll be about
1:30ish.
It'll be about 58 degrees. At
Overcast day, as long as it's not raining.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. That'll be fun.
Like 3% chance of rain.
We'll see our man Brady Cook's final game as a Missouri Tiger. That'll be fun. So we'll talk to Chris about that. Bill Moss is traveling. He's going to be on the show tomorrow, but we'll get Matt Derrick in because we're not having a show on Wednesday. We'll talk to Matt Derrick about the Chiefs and kind of where they stand right now. That's all today on New Day with SSJ. Welcome back into New Day without SSJ. Todd Leabo, Jake Gutierrez here with you. Weird kind of weeks. People have regular jobs, probably haven't really worked. I don't know. When you have the Christmas holiday and New Year's Day in the middle of the week, it kind of,
Yeah, it doesn't really feel like a Monday today.
No. Because the Chiefs didn't play either.
Right.
That's what's really thrown it off. Chiefs played on Wednesday.
Yeah, that I will say, for me, it's like you're getting ready all year long, driving on Sunday. Sundays, make Monday a little I get up usually a little earlier on Mondays because there's more work to do on Monday after Chiefs game. So it's like, but the fact that there wasn't a Chiefs game yesterday.
Yeah.
Even watching NFL games all day long, it's like, okay, usually like, okay, I got
waiting for something.
I'm watching Red Zone until
the Chiefs.
Right.
No, it's just there. And the Mizzou plays a bowl game today, 1 in the afternoon. It's weird. My wife and I were driving around or something. So what are these bowl games? Like, why are they like, why are they now? I said, there's a lot of people who, this is when they take a vacation, This is, you'll take this week off and go watch your team play or
your university
or whatever. And then I told her I wouldn't walk across the street to watch a bowl game in today's world.
Right.
Because if the players don't care, then why would I?
Right.
That's me.
Unless they're playing in the college football playoffs.
In the college football playoff.
Are those really bowls?
Although, so let's say there's probably a lot of Tiger fans in Nashville right now.
Sure.
Fun little place to
It's
go.
a great
Like
place
I said,
to go.
Hey, listen, that's a pretty good spot. Hey, let's go do New Year's Eve and
Nash Vegas.
Have 3 or 4 days in Nashville and have some fun, like a little vacation. Generally speaking, they put them, in the South where it was warm, so that's why people would want to go do that. That's changed. Did you watch any bits of the Nebraska game in the rain in New York City?
New York, yeah. The Gotham City Bowl or whatever that is.
Pinstripe.
Yeah, Pinstripe Bowl.
I was joking with some of my buddies. We were texting about it. I think they all have sponsors. We got Pop-Tarts. Let's give out some free ads here for Pop-Tarts or whatever. And it's the Bad Boy Mowers Bowl. Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl. And I was like, nothing says New York City like lawnmowers.
Bad boy.
I mean, that is. I think
zero turn, baby.
Everyone in Manhattan
right.
has got a bad boy mower.
You got to have a zero turn if you're mowing in.
Yeah, you have to. You got to be able to get through the tight
right.
corners to get your 6 feet of yard. Now, maybe they mow Central Park with bad boy mowers. I don't know. But I mean, it's like, how many lawnmowers? That's got to be the least amount of lawnmowers per capita of anywhere in America. Like the number of people who live
City?
there. Yeah.
No, zero.
None. Maybe someone, I don't know. In Brooklyn, some have a little yard.
Well,
we'll ask Pete. He lived on Long Island. Someone's got lawnmowers out on Long Island.
Yeah.
But Manhattan?
Yeah, if you're in the burb.
Who owns a lawnmower in Manhattan if you're not mowing Central Park? The city's got some lawnmowers. I don't know.
Yeah, that's.
But yeah, I mean, would you go? I mean, Fenway Park had a bowl this year, and with restricted views because like the foul poles in a way. On TV, looked great.
Sherm's Yukon Huskies beat Carolina.
Took them down. There was another, there was the game in Boise. It's cold. They and it always seems like the Liberty Bowl in Nashville. It's never sunny this time of year. It's gray. The game in Fort Worth that Oklahoma lost to Navy, beautiful sunshine, wonderful day.
Hey, beautiful day.
Beautiful day. And the Florida Bowls will probably be pretty nice. Although it was raining like a mug yesterday in Jacksonville for the Jags game in the first half. So we'll see how these days look for a lot of these bowls coming up. In
Colorado got beat down in the Alamo Bowl. That was surprising to me.
Playing the guys, too. Let's go play the guys, huh?
36-14. I mean, Colorado was
wasn't that close.
2.5 point favorite, too.
I think it was over early on that one.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, listen, I like the bowls that they exist. It's something to gamble on now. It's something to watch. I mean, that's why they have them. They'll do good numbers compared to, if ESPN has a talking head show on at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, that's not going to do nearly as good as today, Missouri and Iowa. Or Oklahoma Navy the other day probably had 1 million people watching. They don't get 1 million people watching the little people in the boxes talking on TV. It's not how it works. So you put these things on. And you get money from whoever the sponsor of the bowl is, fill-in-the-blank bowl. So I get why they have them, but as I was explaining to my wife, and we've gone to a couple bowl games. I went to the Rose Bowl in 2000. 2002 to 2003, that New Year's Eve, and because I never went to the Rose Bowl.
Well, that's back when it was the Rose Bowl.
It was, but it also didn't mean anything. It was just a bowl game. But it was the Rose Bowl. It was the Rose Bowl parade, all that stuff. Went and watched Oklahoma play. It was great. And I went to the national championship game at the Orange Bowl because that was a big deal. I went to the national championship game at the Sugar Bowl because that was a big deal. And I think maybe 15 years ago, if someone said, hey, listen, so-and-so, your team is in this bowl and you're off, go watch. I've never really been able to, like, take a vacation like right now, like go out of town for a long vacation and go do that. But I certainly wouldn't do it now. I'm telling you, man, I'm a grumpy old man. If 25 of the players don't want to play in the game, what do I want to go watch it for?
I don't, yeah.
I've been telling people for 20 years, you like your school more than the players like that school.
Yes.
And that was probably just a hyperbolic statement in 2003 or something. But today.
Oh, it's, yeah. I mean,
you know, Brady Cook loves Missouri.
Right.
Okay.
He's an anomaly.
He's an anomaly in today's world. Jaden Daniels went to 2 colleges. Caleb Williams went to 2 colleges. Bo Nix went to 2 colleges. You know, Joe Burrow went to 2 colleges.
Yes.
You know, Joe Burrow and Bo Nix played against each other.
That's wild.
At Auburn and LSU, and that was Joe Burrow's second school.
Yeah.
And Bo Nix was in school for. And I saw the kid from the tight end from Miami finished his 9th year of college football this week. Now he only went to 2 schools. That's amazing. He went to Oregon and Miami.
9 years.
But you're talking about these guys now, and I'm not saying don't go do it. If I had a kid who was 18 years old, had a chance to make some money at 2 places before they turned 20 and 21, especially in football, where
look at Will Howard.
It's so hard to go make the National Football League and to make money. And by the way, if you go make money in the National Football League, it's going to destroy your body probably, all this. You might as well get some money while you can. But what that's going to do for me personally as a guy who loves my school, who went to school there, and we've been said for years you're cheering for Laundry, I'm cheering for Laundry. And I'll cheer for Laundry watching on TV instead of going to a bowl game. I'd rather go watch my team play at Columbia or in Norman than watch them play a game that everyone opts out of in fill in the blank somewhere. That's me. Am I a grumpy old man? Perhaps.
Well, it varies from school to school, just in terms of, like, you're a spoiled Oklahoma fan.
Yeah,
know?
I guess, yes.
I mean, so going to a bowl every year is the minimum. Like, it's.
Oh, they're at the minimum right now.
They barely eked in.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, like, you know, if your school doesn't make it, you know.
But honestly, it's like a whole team had to opt out of a bowl this year. Marshall didn't have enough players to play.
That's wild, man. That is wild. Hey, that's the world we're living in, and you know, I think the next 5 years will be interesting to see how it evolves and changes and
fix it, change it, whatever, solidify it.
Yeah. I mean, there's no way that it sticks with 12 teams either. I mean, they are.
You need to have games that matter where people don't opt out.
They will have. I truly believe they will have. You know, I think this next year will be 12 teams, but I think the year after that, I think they're moving to 16.
And you will likely have to have some uniformity with NIL deals and stuff. Say, listen, if you want an NIL deal, part of the deal is you're playing in the bowl game.
Yeah, I mean,
or the playoff. You can't opt out and get. It's funny in the National Football League. It's a pay cut for almost every single player in the playoffs.
Sure.
Absolute pay cut.
Yeah.
Because they get there are no more weekly checks, and the playoff bonuses are nice. Listen, I'm not going to complain about them, but to someone who's making a $2 million check every week for their game,
right,
it's a loser for them,
right,
money-wise.
Yes,
and but that's fine because they get money and it's their prestige and all that thing, and that's how the contracts are written. And in college football, guys are like, well, I already got my money. I'm going to go play at a different school. I don't care. If you want people to play in these games, you're going to have to incentivize them to play because you're incentivizing them to come to your school anyways. But there's no uniformity in any of it. Whatever. You're listening to New Day. I'll stop complaining soon enough, I promise.